Oh, in a minute meaning now, or okay?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Today we're going to talk about a topic that I don't really want to talk about,
Mm.
but I think it needs to be talked about.
Mm.
It's telling your parents.
It's a tough one.
Mm.
It's a tough one. I'm actually now more curious why you don't want to talk about it than actually talking about it.
Because it makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, we brought up the topic and you're like, let's start with the top of the list. And inside I was like,
Yeah.
and I can't tell you why yet, but I'm guessing we're going to get there together.
Okay. Well, how about I start?
Okay.
I think it's an important topic. I think being diagnosed with cancer is really, really difficult for the patient, for us, the spouse. I can think it's probably also extremely difficult for parents to have a child go through something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And and telling your parents or telling my parents was not easy.
Mm-mm.
Um, I think
It was surprisingly difficult, right? Did you
I don't
find
know.
it?
I knew it was gonna be difficult,
Okay.
at least on my mom's side. I would say I knew it was gonna be difficult.
Mm.
But I think it's hard, right? Like, I mean, we're parents. I think the most common thought is our children are gonna bury us and
Right.
not the other way around. So, and clearly we're still here and we're thankful for that. But I think in that moment when you tell your parents, I'm diagnosed with cancer, I think it's very natural for them to think, oh my God, like, am I going to lose my child?
Yeah. 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 I think of it from the perspective of a mother, like, oh my gosh, is my baby gonna be okay?
Yeah. So in my case, the way that, and 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 maybe, I don't know. Usually, I tell these things my parents rather quickly. It's not like I hold it back for a long time because they're smart enough to figure out that something ain't right.
Mm.
Um, but in my case, what I did, and I do this with my brother. I have an older brother. I call my brother first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Um, and I think it's really important because telling your parents is really, really hard. And you're gonna go deeper on this for why, it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like. But it's also really, like in my case, I would usually comfort my parents a lot. And so in this specific case, I was not going to be able to comfort them because I needed the energy for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And drawing that line and saying, like, guys, like, please don't call me every day and ask me how I'm doing, and like, I'll let you know when I know more, etc., etc. And if you need to cry over the fact that your son has cancer, I appreciate that, but don't cry to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cry to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's what you said to your brother,
and
right?
that's what I told my brother, and,
Yeah.
and I said, like, you got to bite the bullet on this, and I know it's gonna suck, but I need to take care of myself. I
Yeah.
can't take care of my parents' feelings.
Exactly. You
Which,
said manage mom and dad.
yeah, which is, it's hard. It's a hard spot to be in. Like, so the family dynamic is, everybody's different. Everybody has a different setup, but
Mm-hmm.
for sure, I try to shoulder a little bit of that, I guess, responsibility that I feel with regards to my parents. I try to shoulder some of that on my brother, some of that on you as a spouse, which I
Mm-hmm.
think, especially the spousal role, is very important.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about the days of surgery and stuff like this, where maybe in our case, our parents weren't close by. So then you're also communication kind of,
Yeah. Communicating the news, the
yeah,
updates, the.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Communicating and updating and, yeah. So, but yeah, I think the first step, telling, was really difficult, and then managing was also not easy. Managing that emotion.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, knowing that, like, I mean, in my case, I think especially my mom was just extremely scared,
Mm-hmm.
and I was already scared enough. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't need to shoulder more fear.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. And I respect the fact that it's scary for parents. Like, being a parent myself, like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though I'm not in the situation like that, but I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Intellectually, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I feel like my my perception and my feelings were similar to yours in telling my parents, in the sense of I don't want to burden them with this bad news. It was that feeling of responsibility also.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't want to let them down. Um, I don't want to make them go through this really hard thing. And even though I knew that the cancer wasn't my fault, it didn't stop me from having those thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and those feelings, telling them,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like a burden. I felt like a burden. Did
Mm.
you feel that way?
No, not really.
Okay.
I think the cancer was a burden, but I didn't
Mm.
feel like a burden.
Mm. Yeah, so then I guess when I say I felt like a burden, maybe I took responsibility in some way for even having cancer and doing that. Um, it's interesting though. I'd be interested to talk to more people and see how common this feeling is of
Being afraid to share with your parents.
yeah, and feeling sort of responsible for their emotions or how they're going to handle it, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
not being able to support them because you're the one that needs support.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially in our case, in an age bracket where we're supposed to start supporting our parents because they're
Right.
getting in that age
Yeah.
where they might get bad news health wise,
Yeah.
right? Just pure age,
Mhm. Statistics.
like statistics, right?
Yeah.
Not talking about our parents in particular.
Mhm. Or, for example, our parents in particular. My
Yeah.
dad just went in for
Yeah, no, but I
an
get that.
angiogram.
I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, it's reversal of the natural progression of life.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
The natural progression of life is that at some point in your
Yeah, we're starting to switch roles of support with with the other.
yeah, with the next generation.
Yeah. Hmm. Mm. New insight. I never really looked at the parent role as, I mean, you have to take care of your kids and your parents in our society, huh? Not really take care of, like support them, make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a double. It's like a double role when you're trying to work, huh?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's why people forget about this stretch of life easily. No, I don't know.
Okay, we got sidetracked there.
Yeah, but again, I think it's an important thought, at least. How how will these news affect your parents,
Mm-hmm.
and what's a healthy way to manage that moment of telling them,
Mm-hmm.
and also forthcoming or afterwards, how do you manage that kind of, like, are you fine, what's new, what's going on, tell me more, and or maybe the opposite, right? Maybe it's I need space, leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely an important topic, and I think it has for sure affected my relationship with my parents.
I agree with me with mine. And I think you brought up a really important point there, which is communicating with our parents what we actually need. Like, I would have liked my parents to check in more on me, and they gave me space.
Mm-hmm.
And in hindsight, I wish I would have been like, please check in more on me.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I could have asked you to,
Let them
drop
know.
a hint or something.
Yeah, fair.
What about you?
I think it was alright because it was more like me pushing back a little bit, and say like, okay, give me a break.
Yeah, so you asked for the space.
Yeah, it was a bit the opposite direction. Yeah. But also interesting because I think I communicated quite a lot with your parents actually, especially in that early window, like major surgery and treatment and da 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 da. Like there was quite a bit of like me actually feeling responsible telling your parents what's going on. Yeah. So that's kind of the like what I was trying to say, where I felt like you and my brother had a bit of that role when I went through it. Like then when you were diagnosed, I kind of took probably even more than usual proactivity in being that kind of communicator and just keeping your parents in the loop quite a bit.
Yeah, you're really good at that also, in general.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that you could do that for me during that situation.
Maybe I needed it too. Like maybe in hindsight, also fair to say, it was also good for me, like to kind of digest some of it. Like saying it out loud or writing a text to your parents was probably also nice for me sometimes, just to kind of get it out of the system,
That makes sense. And maybe also just to share it with a parental figure might have been nice. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be.
It also reminds me of just how important that spousal role is, to have somebody or a friend or whoever, that number one caregiver, and you just say, hey, take care of this for me.
Of this or of these people.
Yeah, or of all of these other things, of communicating with this person, of arranging this, of that. But yeah,
I think the
situation of communicating with parents.
Yeah, I think to sum it up is like the conversation with the spouse is hard, but I think the conversation with my parents was probably the most difficult one. And as you can tell by the back and forth we had tonight talking about this stuff, it's definitely something to think about or be conscious of how to manage this relationship during such a unique period.
Yeah, and I think it shows that it's something that you and I still haven't totally digested, the fact that we've talked about it and then gone off this way, and then talked about it and gone off this way, right? That it's still an uncomfortable topic, which is exactly how we started this conversation.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should call our parents and ask how they felt about all this. But that's for another day.